Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am excited to be here for another amazing episode of the Madaraka Podcast. We are here inside the Seattle Drum School of Music in Georgetown, Seattle, just south of downtown Seattle. And I am extremely privileged today to be with a legendary musician, a talented brother, and someone that many of us look up to when it comes to African music, especially here in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. My brother Tendai, Maraire, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for making the time for us to, have a conversation today. I'm really honored to just reflect on your journey as an artist, but also your journey as a human being. I was reading an article on the Carnegie website, because I think that's one of the places where you and Chimurenga Renaissance did your last show. And one of the things, I picked up a lot of things in this article that I really appreciate. One of them was where you began your musical journey, and that the mbira was your inspiration into music. Speak about that and how maybe as a young Tendai you played the mbira, but your dad also created a new version of the mbira instrument.
Right.
Speak to that as well.
Well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man. Finally, a long time coming. My musical journey, it's funny, I just wrote about this in a song. It's going to be kind of dope, but my mom used to tell me stories about like when the music would play and I'd start kicking or bumping her stomach. So I actually did a song where I'm talking about it. It's going to come out soon, where I'm literally talking about from that first moment of conception.
Yeah.
I get a little bit more graphic, but from the moment of the conception of the egg actually being fertilized, right there, to me, that's when the music started.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And my mom used to like sing, or like when she would sing, like if I was get restless or something, or if I would hear music, I would bounce around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the story goes that when my mom was teaching a class with my father. I was 18 months old, and I hopped up on like a chair while they were teaching the class and started doing the same drum patterns that they were doing.
Wow.
And they were just like, that was it from then on.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, music, it's never not been, you know what I'm saying? Like in my family, it's all we did.
Yeah.
And I'll put it this way. I missed a lot of school because of doing shows in schools. You see what I'm saying? So there was a lot of being at Langston Hughes, being snuck under a desk, waiting for lunch, to be over or whatever, for lunch to start so we could go drive to another school, go do the show, and then come back. So I missed a lot of days of school, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, I don't know, it's just, well, I was always into the drums and I always played. There's two different type of mbiras. There's the nare, which is like the very, very traditional, you know what I'm saying? Like, Zavadzimu, it's like, that's where you go to the village. You don't touch that unless you're not really supposed to play it unless you called. Right. And it calls you. The other one is called Nyunga, which is the one my father made, famous. So pretty much everybody in my family plays Nyunga. I'm the only one that plays Nare. But we went to, my mom hadn't been able to go home for 33 years. And so right after my brother graduated from high school, it was the three of us, my mom, my brother, my sister, and then she took one of her best friends, Patty Petish, and we went to Zimbabwe. And so she takes us to the village because she wanted us to go into the hut and go through the whole process while she was there. And the Nyanga is sitting there, like witch doctor, would forever lack of a better term, they say. But like the spiritual healer, she's sitting there, and we're all in there. And at the time, my sister, who worked we didn't know she was going to work for BET, but she always had a camera. So she's filming the whole thing. And the lady has the mbira, which I've never played this one. She has it sitting there. And I'm like, hey, Mom, ask her, can I see that? And the lady spoke back to me in Shona and said, no, that's yours. We brought this for you. And I picked it up, and then, you know, my brother started joking like, oh, it's going to get scary in here. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? Stop messing around. I took that, I played it, and that was the end of that. You know what I'm saying? I've never been taught. Never. Everything is self-taught. I never was taught how to play marimba and beaters, drums. I either picked it up, I could do it, or I can't.
Yeah. It's also in the same article I was reading about Chimurenga Renaissance. It speaks to how your music is a combination of hip-hop and African spiritual music.
Right.
And speak to that a little bit, because I think your learning of music is kind of spiritual as well.
Yes.
Because, you know, from the moment of conception you were,
literally.
you know. So speak to the spirituality. And also I believe that music is spiritual, music is healing. And a lot of healers sometimes go through challenging times,
right,
when they have to heal themselves,
right,
you know. And I feel like music is really like that. I've seen a lot of artists go through moments where they don't even want to hear music, they
right,
don't even want to be involved with music, but that's when they're actually working on incredible projects.
Right.
And many artists who are not spiritually grounded don't even know that that's when, you know, the creative spirit is actually working on
right,
them, you know. And a lot of artists these days don't even understand that they're functioning from a spiritual realm,
right,
you know. So speak to that for a moment.
Well, for me, I could tell you the first song I cried to. That's how deep music is with me. I could tell you, you know, what songs made me feel a certain way. Certain songs they even have a smell to them. You know how, like, when you hear certain songs from back in the day when you was home in Kenya, if you just for 2 seconds you hear one of them songs, you'll just think about like either tires burning or somebody cooking goat. Like, you'll feel it, you can smell it for like 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And so music's always been that way to me. And I was kind of we were sent to Zimbabwe without our mother. She couldn't go the very first time. So we had to go live there, meeting everybody, new friends, knew everything. You know what I'm saying? Crash course lesson and you know what I'm saying? And so right off the bat, I was heavily involved in so many things that were musical because all people do is sing. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the 80s, man. There ain't there's one TV, one station. And you go and listen to the president talk, and he's going to say the anthem. In fact, in the morning, when you get up in the morning and when you go to bed, it's either my dad playing or his boy playing.
Right.
That's every morning. So we would have to listen to that, you know what I'm saying, for the station. So the music was so, I don't know, man. It became, how can I say it? I connected once with it. I mean, once, when I'm saying it, like, not once, but I'm saying once I heard a song or once I figured out this is what I want to do, there wasn't, my spirituality with music went to a whole nother level. Right. I could see things. You see what I'm saying? I could close my eyes and see notes. Right. You know what I'm saying? But they would have colors and they would make shapes, like real crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. And at first I didn't really understand it. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't understand. You know what I'm saying? And then you would hear people say stuff, but I would like watch my dad and I wouldn't see him like necessarily catch that vibe of it, but his lyrics and what he did was that vibe of it. You know what I'm saying? But then I would see my sister perform, and she's darn near possessed. You know what I'm saying? And so once I just started to just let go and just be like, all right, there's, you know, because for a long time I was doing hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And there wasn't, I don't think the music industry wasn't ready to receive no Mbita with hip hop 25 years ago. Right. And I was doing that with like cross colors on. You know what I'm saying? Right. But the Mbita at talent shows and stuff, but people weren't ready. You know what I'm saying? I know people that laughed. You know what I'm saying?
When they saw you play.
Yeah, they laughed. And it really wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I remember doing show and tell coming back from Zimbabwe. My boy named Serge, he's friends with Hussein. He's from Congo as well. And both of us brought our music for show and tell. I literally brought a tape of Mbita music and everybody laughed. You know what I'm saying? And so to watch that flip was kind of crazy, to watch how everybody did that. And now everybody's like, oh man, Africa. It was like, there was a period where it was like you couldn't really express yourself that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so for me, I always had to be grounded spiritually.
Right.
Because I can't let the words of NWA infest me into a point where I'm trying to be a gangster. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But I gotta understand it well enough to make sense to them when I rap. And so with Chimurenga Renaissance, one of the things I tell Hussein, there's something, we're special. We grew up at the right time with the right era of hip hop, just good enough to see Lady Smith Black Mambazo, just good enough to see both of our parents gain independence. You see what I'm saying? Like, we grew up in such a crucial era, but then here comes hip hop.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Totally just black music where it's like the one music where no one's taken. You can go to country, you can go to all that. It's all been taken. R&B, but this one, we stood for it. We was like, nah, we're standing up for this. We're keeping it. No matter what, it's gonna stay here. They laughed at us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now look, it's the biggest music in the world. It's unstoppable. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when you mix that with this whole thing of the diaspora and people trying to now reconnect with home and being able to do these DNA tests and all this, people are starting to figure out who they are and why they like this sound or why they like something. You know what I'm saying? And so
totally.
I think that's what makes our music unique, is that it is a mixture of, like, man, we listen to everything. I mean, I'll listen to Pachelbel's Canon and used to play violin, turn around and be listening to some choral music from Guinea, and then turn around and, you know what I'm saying? Like, we listen to everything.
Everything.
And I think that's what makes us special, you know what I'm saying?
I love that. So take us through the Chimurenga Renaissance journey, you know. First of all, just briefly speak about the name Chimurenga Renaissance, because it's related to Zimbabwe's independence and fight for freedom. Right. And then speak about your guys, albums, and touch on the current project you guys are just releasing, and maybe just the albums that you and Hussein and Chimurenga Renaissance have worked on over the years. Okay.
Well, Chimurenga Renaissance is like the wars. They're called the Chimurenga Wars. Those are the wars we fought against colonialism. The first war was fought with a woman who was really the one who ran it. Her name was Boya Nehanda. And they couldn't really figure out. They kept going to all these chiefs trying to say, are you the guy doing this? Are you the one who's leading these wars? Because they was winning. But then some of the dudes got jealous because it was a female. You know what I'm saying? So they told on her. Obviously, there's always some tribal stuff. They told on her. They ended up hanging her. You know what I'm saying? And so the spirit that she had in her is what we called our first album, Rise Vadzimu Rise. Vadzimu's like this spirit of, like, when you're unified, like when you're like, let's get rid of all these borders. We all in this room together.
Yeah.
We gotta fight together. That's when we ended up doing the second Chimurenga Wars. All the tribes united. That's when Mugabe did his thing, and the rest is history. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so what we were saying was, Chimurenga Renaissance is like bringing back that spirit. You see what I'm saying? Like, but going to war now, the war is no longer physical. It's mental now. You know what I'm saying? All due respect, I go home, I see some of the most disappointing things. I went from, not from learning about what a Nyanga is and what Shikido is and all these spiritual things to now, they're telling my people, like, the Catholic Church is telling them, if you get circumcised right now, you have a 40% less chance of contracting HIV. What's that got to do with the needle? What if I go to the doctor and he gives me a bad needle? You feel what I'm saying? But it's like all these subliminal things that are being done. And like you said, that thing of going home, like I did that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, I was burned out. I was touring 10 years straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm at home 75 days a year. If I wasn't at home, you know, back there, I'm on the road somewhere else, or I'm in Spain. And then my vacation was to get away. Then, you know, you're married at the time, so now you got to go do that. So I was on the road doing 3 bands, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And during COVID, something just said, go home. I was like, I'm out. And I went and I decompressed. I did nothing but read. I read every book that I could inside of my dad's thing. And it was a good time for me to get to know him.
Right.
Because I didn't really the guy was gone. He got, you know, 6, 7 babies, moms. He's traveling around the world. There was a point in time, like it's on this new album that's gonna drop. It's called Naka. Naka means legacy. Mm-hmm. So what we did, it was me and King Britt, we took we listened to I got all my dad's masters. I now own his music, all but one album that he did with this other guy. So we listened to all of it, and then we sampled it and made beats first. And then once we were done with the beats, we got to like 12, 15 beats. We went to Zimbabwe because he came here for like 2 weeks. Then I went to Philly for like 2 weeks. Then we went to Zimbabwe, and we recorded. Every single night I would go to the club. Every night. I'm going to the live band club. I'm listening to who's playing, and I'm like, hey, you want to get on the album? Yeah. You know, by the 3rd night, they figured it out. Hey, he's paying guys $100 to come to the studio.
Yeah.
So now all the clubs is packed everywhere we're going. I'm like, this is getting crazy. But we started recording everybody, and then we finished the album. And there was people that were on the album who I was cool with at the time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We finished the album way before COVID. So I go home thinking I'm going to come back, put the album out. You know what I'm saying? It's been 3 years since anybody's done anything. I was in Zim for a year. So when I get back, as we're recording, true story, people start wanting off the album when they found out we did Carnegie Hall. So I went from being in a village to nobody could find me to, hey, man, you need to answer the phone. Answer the phone. I go check the mail, and they're like, dude, we got to go to Carnegie Hall. I'm like, oh, okay, well, then now I'll come back to America. And so when we got there, like the intensity of going there was like the spirits didn't even want me to leave the country, bruh. I'm talking about they were telling me I can't leave. Yeah, first of all, they told me I couldn't get in the country, which it was illegal to go in there as a United States citizen with the
U.S. passport. Yeah.
I pulled a couple strings and walked in with the army through the South African border. It was kind of fun too. Mm-hmm. So so I took that little sabbatical and I went to the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'll put it this way. My connection with music is so deep. God is my witness. One of the people I called when I was there was Samini.
Yeah.
And I texted him. I said, I'm home. He said, it's about time they called you. He said something. I was like, but how do you know? How did you know? And he was like, we all knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, how would you know something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I'm going to the water to go through a whole, you know what I'm saying, spiritual cleansing. So I did everything. Like, I'm so spiritual. I trusted my ancestors 100%. When people kept saying, oh, you can't leave the country and this, and I was like, what are they talking about? I didn't say nothing to nobody. I just got up on the plane, got out of here. One-way ticket, bruh. I didn't know if I was coming back, you know what I'm saying? So I got there, got to SA. You know, I'm sorry, I'm too traditional, so I ain't taking all these shots and all that mess. I'm not fooling with that. So when I got there, got to the border, they wouldn't let me in. They kicked me off the bus, and I sat there, and I was like, all right, if I'm supposed to be here, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, this guy's walking in at the duty-free thing, buying like 3 bottles of what we call like Aro Lomo, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's buying that, and he's like, he walks back in, and he's like, now it's either he knows you or they're gonna try to rob you. You know, there's either two decisions there. And he's looking, he goes, "Are you Baba Maraire from Chimurenga Renaissance?" I said, "How do you know?" "Yes, I am, man." He's, "What are you doing here? Why are you stuck here?" I was like, "Man, I can't get in." I was like, "I need to use a phone." So long story short, calls my boy Marcus Gora. They make some arrangements. They come and swap me in. I'm walking in with the army. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed
connections.
There. But I was so, it was such a spiritual trip. Even when I went to the water, I didn't know. I went to go see the Nyanga. You know what that is?
I think traditional healer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's two of them. There's Nyangas and then there's Shikiro. Nyangas where you go and you get the money or whatever. You might, you know, some dudes want to be like, was my wife cheating? You know what I'm saying? Okay, if you do this, okay.
Yeah.
Shikiro is where you go to the people. So I go to the woman. She was supposed to do 3 people that day. Me and my 2 dudes. The first day I got there, and she was like, she tells the other 2 dudes, "Hey, you guys got something to do? Have you ate?" They're like, no, why? It was like an hour. She said, "Nah, it's gonna take at least 2. They bounce. She went through my whole life.
Yeah.
Knew it, and she just kept asking, "But what do you do for a living?" I was like, "You seriously don't know?" She was like, "No." And she was like, I told her what I did and what I played, and she said it makes sense. And so she taught me how to read the bones. Long story short, I became Shikiro. I didn't know that, you know what I'm saying? But even in that whole process, like I was supposed to go meet this DJ one night, you know what I'm saying, to go get ready for an interview. He ain't show up. This other brother comes with his dreads, and he's like, "Maraire." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "They're not showing up. You're coming with us to the mountains tomorrow." I'm like, "Wait, what?" So this is about to start going down now. And I had to heal like myself for like 2-3 months, just to myself, sitting in the house trying to fix stuff and just chill, like not be bothered, before I even allowed that to be there, because I wasn't going to, you don't want to take that step.
Yeah.
And then you better take that step very righteous. To be honest, I refrain. I haven't had sex for 2.5 years. I refrained. Once I did that, I was like, I ain't doing nothing until this album's done.
Yeah.
Literally. When a girl be like, "Hey, nah, when the album comes out, maybe we'll get back to that." But now I'm so clear with my mind, I don't even care. You know what I'm saying?
You're functioning from a different place.
Exactly.
So we are coming to the end of our time together for now, but I feel like we need to do part 2 and even part 3 of our conversation. I just want you to speak to a couple of things. One is, you've been to some of the greatest festivals in the world. You've also been to, Shikiro. So that was an event, You've been to the smallest events in the world. Not smallest in terms of significance, but in terms of size. How many people are there? You're just the 2 of you. And that event was planned similar to Madaraka Festival, And so I want you to share your perspectives on 3 perspectives on how do you make any event that you're organizing successful. What are some of the things you need to think about for you to be successful with an event? This question is related to an answer I'm giving our viewers and listeners who are curious, because this is the 10th year of Madaraka Festival. You know the history of Madaraka Festival, so if you want, you can speak to that.
I was there. That first thing I told you was, don't do it on the same weekend as Folk Life. Remember? I was like, nah, man, get your own weekend. But I mean, for one thing, I think there's a bunch of things, but if I was to say 3, 1, when it comes to the music, anything to do with the music industry, if you're doing it for money, you get it out. It's the wrong thing, especially if you're doing a festival, I've been talking with STG, you know what I'm saying, Adam and Eli, Miranda. I've been talking with B at Folk Life. They want me to do some stuff and partner up. I've been talking with Crocodile, so all these different venues, because of trying to bring a diversity, and they know that we have a following that could come there. But the one thing I'll tell you that's in common, including Bumper Shoot, ain't no money. You see what I'm saying? So if you're planning these events, you got to go at it. It's because you had a passion to do it. So that means you weren't going to be discouraged by, oh, well, this year you can't get this sponsor. No, you were like, whatever we do, we're going to just keep pushing.
Exactly.
So that's step one is if you're looking at it, especially events, if you're looking at it for the money, you're in trouble.
Yeah, big trouble.
Big trouble. Ain't no money out there like that. Two is just be consistent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're passionate about it and you're consistent with it, you know what I'm saying? The only thing you really need is a good infrastructure, like you're only gonna be as good as your team. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn that the hard way. Like, people that I had around me before, I'm like, nah, I can't do that no more. This is too serious. You know what I'm saying? So when you got a good team behind you, like a good staff, which like what you have, you're consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like you just always keep pushing and working, and you're passionate about it. I can't stress how much passion means.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only thing that, pushes you through when everybody has run away.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody's like, no, and you're just like, nah.
Everybody says you're crazy, but you're not crazy.
Exactly.
And it's the only fuel left in the tank is that passion.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, this will just get me to the point of what the new album is. It's called Now Is the Time. It's an EP. And it really was sparked from everybody doubting me and Hussein. You see what I'm saying? And thinking like, we can't do this, or we're done. And I was just like, how could this possibly be? Somebody could even think this way about me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How do they know? How do they know? You know yourself.
Yeah, but anybody who grew up with Tendai knows there's one thing about it. That boy's heart don't play. You see what I'm saying? So I don't care if it was football, rapping, basketball, track. I'm not going to, there is no quit. I don't even know that possibility. You see what I'm saying?
It's not an option.
Yeah, it's not an option. So for people to do that was kind of thing. So we called this new EP Now Is the Time. And what we did is we took one song from 4 different albums. We recorded like 160 songs. Some stuff with Lee Scratch Perry, some stuff with Zinni and Rubinos and her husband Marco, some stuff with my guy Ivan. We've just recorded a bunch of stuff. London Bridge and like Session Tonight. Was trying to go 2 times a week. I wanted to just, because I was in a better place and I had got out of COVID, because I felt like during COVID I was rapping negative. Like everything was sad and dark, you know what I'm saying? When I went home, I wanted to come back on some love, Bob Marley, everything cool, I'm good. And so we called this one Now Is the Time, which Hussein came up with that. And then the new album's gonna be called Naka. That's the one coming next. So we got Now Is the Time, Naka will come out this summer. We got a double album that's almost done called Freedom Fighters and Gangsters. One side is Freedom Fighters side, so it's like if it's a love song, it's coming at it from, things that you would do in Africa if you love a girl. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If it's gonna be a shootout, it's you versus the Rhodesians or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then the gangster side is like the American side of how we grew up and more. And it's not necessarily saying like gangster. It's more like how Tupac was the militant side of black men in the United States. And then the last one after that is Kings with Many Crowns. So we're gonna pop like every 90 days. Once we go, there's nothing to stop for. You know what I'm saying?
Love that.
Yeah.
So if someone is watching and they want to stay connected with you and Chimurenga, how do they do that?
Google ChimurengaRenaissance.com, because I'm very terrible at social media.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place, and we're working on it. But yeah, just Google ChimurengaRenaissance.com. We'll be going out soon with Pierre Quinders. We'll be going out with Pierre Quinders, and then we'll be finishing off the show in Seattle. Will be May 2nd at the Crocodile, and it's my 50th birthday. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be bananas.
I can't wait. So look at this camera and just say what your name is, and also ask our viewers to subscribe to Madaraka Podcast.
Yes. What's up? This is Tendai Mukonondega, a.k.a. The Bull, Maraire, and you are listening to the Madaraka Podcast, and make sure you tune in. And keep checking your alerts just in case something might pop up, because we're going to end up doing this again, all right? Chimurenga Renaissance is in the house. Peace.
I love that. One of the things I love about you is you know how to praise yourself. You know? And that's something African that I even sometimes forget about, you know.
Right.
But I remember all my aunties growing up in Kenya, you know, they used to call me Otiaro Jabunde, you know. You know what that means?
No.
You know, the man with the gun, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah, my grandfather was a general, you know.
Ooh.
And so he's the only one in the village who had a gun. And I was named after him, you know. He fought for the British in the First and Second World War, you know. He was like special forces.
Yeah.
He would be hired by the British to go and do things.
That's crazy.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, I was always called by that, you know, Otiaro Jabunde, you know.
That sounds powerful.
I need to praise myself more.
Hey, man, that's what you got to do, man.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Every time somebody... I don't know about everybody else, but like my dad, pretty much everybody's name was a sentence.
Yeah.
My first name, Tendai, means to be thankful.
Yeah.
My middle name is Mukonondega, which is the bull, which is my sign, the Taurus.
Yeah.
Our last name is only found with our last name. It ain't like somebody Jackson. You either Maraire or you are Maraire, and that's it in this one Manyika village in this area. And you know what I'm saying? And it means the many who come with wisdom.
Yeah.
It's actually in the Bible, tribe of Levi. It's crazy. That was a whole nother. That's a whole nother section.
Episode. Yeah.
When they told me that, I was like, eesh.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me.
This meant a lot. This is also healing for me. This is like we've met in the village and we are breaking bread.
Yeah,
you know. So I just deeply appreciate you. And for those who've joined us, today's conversation was with my brother, legendary Tendai Maraire. And I just want to thank my producer, Mr. J. Codes, who has been behind the scene making this happen. Make sure you subscribe to Madaraka Podcast here on YouTube and press the bell. Peace and love.
Peace.